Hello, friends, and welcome to the International Fab Talks. We are happy to be connected with you every single day. And guess what? We have wonderful celebrities across the world joining us on the International Fab Talks. It's always a privilege and a honor to have them share their life journey. It could be a doctor, it could be an author, it could be a biker, an actor. It could be just somebody who has something special to share with you and enable you to grow in your life, not to give up. If you face any difficulties in life, you have to really face it and go ahead and build a beautiful world for yourself, your family, and others. Today, we have a wonderful author, an actor, a passionate biker who's joining us all the way from Mumbai, and he is Mr. L.A. Nolan. Hello, sir, and welcome to the session.
Hello, good afternoon, and thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, sir, for accepting the invitation to the International Fab Talks. It's really a honor. We really feel happy when people accept the invitation and would like to share their journey with us. It really makes us happy, and we feel grateful that, yes, there are people who would want to inspire the world in the right way. Thank you so much, sir. I go ahead and share your profile in an official way, sir. Thank you. My friends, it's always a privilege and honor to share the profile of our special celebrities who are here on the International Fab Talks. Now let's share all about what sir has achieved. Nolan, sir. He's an award-winning author and was born in Toronto, that is Canada. If you could get that right, like most of you may be over there in Canada, you know what's that. If you're in India, so let's come back now to sharing the profile. Sir was born in Toronto, making him the first Canadian-born member of his family, whose roots are set firmly in Liverpool, England. So there's a connection. India, Canada, England. That's really nice to have a wonderful, connection with many countries and respect people across the globe. Throughout his life, Nolan sir's restlessness, he has this restlessness within him. It encouraged him to travel. When you feel restless, you have to do something. You should not sit there and try to, sit up in a place and just be dumb, not doing anything. You should go out and give your very best. Here, our special celebrity and guest, he transformed the restlessness and encouraged himself to go forward and travel the world and see how people live and talk to them, connect with them. That's a beautiful way to live this beautiful life. And in 2012, he finally settled in India after traveling across the world. He loves motorcycling, and it became his passion and primary focus. He joined a club and crisscrossed the country, that is India, with reckless abandon several times, not once or twice. He had this urge to sit on his bike and travel along. You too do that. I know that, my friends, because riding on a bike is really a great pleasure. You feel like you have wings. Yes. And we'll go further ahead and share. Sir is not only a biker and author, he's also been an actor as well and has been focusing his energies in acting as well, and has landed a few roles in movies like Aiyaary, if I'm getting that right, along with Sidharth Malhotra and Bose, Dead or Alive, with Sanjay Gurbaxani. And for many years, he was the frontman of a success rock and roll band playing the club circuit in New Delhi. Now look at the multiple feathers in sir's cap. That's really nice, sir, to meet people who are into so many fields. That's really nice. Nowadays, we feel people are only stuck up in one or two things. But, when you spread your wings, when you spread your thoughts and views of going into multiple dimensions and achieving something, that's really nice. So sir was also a part of the rock and roll band. That's really very nice. And friends, Nolan sir focused on his true passion. He has another beautiful passion of storytelling. He released Memoirs of a Motorcycle Madman. Motorcycle Madman in 2018. We'll get to know more about it. A humorous collection of his motorcycle blogs that detailed his years traveling across the country. In October 2021, Sir released his debut crime thriller fiction novel, Blood and Brown Sugar. It was voted Best Fiction Novel in 2021 by Literary Voice magazine and awarded Best Crime Thriller 2021 by the SRG Literary Awards. Lisa was also recognized by Yukioto Publishing House in the year 2021 as up-and-coming fiction author. The novel was optioned for a movie as well by Sanjay Gupta's White Feather Films and is currently being translated by Rajhans Prakashan Publishing House for a re-release in Marathi. His most recent work, A Crate of Rags and Bones, quite scary when we say rags and bones, a collection of Macberry's short stories, launched in December of 2022 and was praised by Neil De Silva as being as an unput-downable read. So what does that mean? Once you start reading the book, you will not let that book, rest for a while. You will complete the book. That is so interesting and, gripping. It has that, it gets your attention completely. You stop all other work and concentrate on the book till it is over. So that's really nice. And that's a beautiful way to give a tribute. When you see such good work, literary work, it could be art, literary work, acting, we always should give credit to great people like Nolan sir and the rest as well. And friends, apart from that, we go ahead and share this too. Lee sir's next novel, the sequel to Blood and Brown Sugar, that is Blood and Bombay Black. Blood and Bombay Black is scheduled for launch this month, that is 2024 Jan. Lee sir has also contributed 8 short stories to various anthologies compiled by the Chrysanthemums Chronicles, if I get that right. Chrysanthemum. So did I get that right?
Yes, yes.
Chronicles, the Creative Circle, the Indian Writing Project, and Remo India, whose collection will be aboard on up. This is something which I really want to know more about it. Aboard on upcoming moon lander and left on the moon for generations or aliens to read. This is something very interesting. So sir has to share all of that as to what it is. I'm going to ask him. They're going to leave some books, I guess, on the moon for the future generations or aliens to read. That sounds exciting. Nolan sir lives in Mumbai with his lovely wife and a sarcastic beagle, a dog, I guess. Is it so? Is it your pet, sir?
Yes, he is.
Is it around you?
He believes, not at the moment. No, he believes he's the owner of the house, but he is my pet. Yes.
Yes, that's really nice. And he also has 2 naughty motorcycles, Wilmina and Elvira. Did I get that right, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. You're so polite, sir. You're very polite. Sir has won several awards, my dear friends. The Grand Prize winner 2023, the Indian Writing Project. Best Emerging Author 2022, Yukioto Publishing House. Best Fiction 2022, Literary Voice Magazine. Best Crime Thriller 2022, SRG Literary Awards. And the previous publications, we'll focus on them a bit, and then we start with the interview, because there are so many things that you all need to know. You should lay your hands on these beautiful books and read them, my friends. Memoirs of a Motorcycle Madman, as I mentioned earlier, it is a collection of humorous travelogues, as sir was a traveler on the bike across India. And Blood and Brown Sugar, it's a crime thriller novel. A Crate of Rags and Bones, a collection of fearful and dangerous stories, Macberry short stories. And apart from that, Sabbath of the Kali Dayan, if I'm getting that right, in the Chandrayaan. Spin to the Moon anthology. If I mispronounce anything, please forgive me, sir, and my audience. A Wolf by Any Other Name in the Hellhounds, Tale from the Bark Side anthology. Hearts of Gold and Ash in the Abandoned House anthology. The Last Farewell in the My Heart's Sunshine anthology. Pickle Stitch and Candy Floss in the Nocturnal Echoes anthology. Stolen Dawn in the When Goddess Walked the Earth anthology, When Goddess Walked on the Earth. That's really nice. The Devil and the Deep Blue. See how many times we have been facing the situation, the devil and the deep sea, and we are stuck in the middle. So that's really nice. The Devil and the Deep Sea is an upcoming of Nightmares and Screams anthology. The Peddler and the Crow, the Indian Writing Project, and much, much more. Now, I'd like to put this very simple. L.A. Nolan sir is an A square and a B square. If you ask me what is A square, author, actor. What is B square? Connected with books and bikes. Hello, sir, and welcome to the session. It's really a privilege to have you share all of that. We're excited to know more about you. How would you really define yourself? I've shared this officially, but now we'd like to know who is the real Nolan.
Wow, that's I guess if I was being entirely honest, I'm a very passionate man. I'm an all or nothing kind of guy, I guess would be the best way to put it. Whatever I do, I tend to immerse myself in it completely. I've got a very very strong sense of right and wrong. I believe myself to be a very moral person. Um, and but I can also be a bit lazy, you know. Unless I'm writing. When I'm writing, I'm definitely very tenacious and I have my head down. So I guess overall, I guess I'm just a quiet, average guy. To be honest, I'm not as boisterous or as outgoing or as sinister as my bio may suggest. I lead a fairly simple and quiet life.
That's really nice to live a simple and calm life, non-interfering to yourself, to give love and respect to others, to be warm. How do you think you get all of this? By connecting with different people, traveling across the world, traveling across India, you become more humble. You watch things around you, you observe things around you, and makes you more humane. Yes, sir, I really get that. Dear sir, we'll talk about bikes because that really interests me. Because I had a bike, and when I would ride on it, I really felt very happy. It was, of course, a small two-wheeler, not a big one as yours, which I've seen. Yours is really a one, it's a very... By the way, what's the name of that bike?
I have two, actually. I have you can't really live in India and be a proper biker without owning a Royal Enfield. So I have a Royal Enfield Classic 500, and I also have a Harley Davidson Street Bob.
You've named them too?
Yeah, the Harley is Elvira and the Royal Enfield is Wilhelmina.
That's really nice. So, we'd like to know how you entered in this beautiful field of putting your thoughts on pen and paper, transforming it into a beautiful novel, into beautiful readable books. How did this journey all start?
I guess if I was going to be romantic about it, I would say that the writing profession chose me. I didn't choose it. But I guess more pragmatically, I've always been a writer. At least I've always been a storyteller. I can remember in grade school when I was very young, trying to write my own comic books, and I was always the class clown. I loved, and it wasn't an attention thing for me. It never has been. It's always been more about the gratification of entertaining. And I started reading at a very young age. My father was an avid reader, and so I picked it up from him, I suppose, and he started to pass down his books to me, just paperbacks. And he was into science fiction at the time. So by the time I was 11, I'd already gobbled up, a lot of Arthur C. Clarke, Ray Bradbury, Isaac Asimov. I was reading well above my age level, and not necessarily that there's anything special about me. It's just that that's what I was given access to. And it was around that point, maybe 13 or 14, that I realized what a special gift it is to be able to write. And it was then that I resolved that's what I want to do. I want to be able to affect people and change their lives and be able to move them from their life onto the deck of a pirate ship or onto an alien planet, or just through the power of written word. I wanted to join that elite group of people that had that power, that ability. And I thought it was such a wonderful thing to do that for many years, I couldn't think of doing anything else. I was completely obsessed with it. So I would have to attribute it to my early reading, and I guess just my internal desire to entertain. And you put those two together, and I guess becoming a writer is just a natural fit.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing. Thank you very much. That's really nice. Like, you started young. Yes, if you need to transform somebody, it's not like at this age that you could easily change somebody. That has to start when you're young. And you are really privileged to have your dad who has passed on this beautiful, connection with books. Not only be a great reader, you have also become a great writer too. Now, when we talk about your books as a writer, sir, Blood and Brown Sugar, that's quite scary. So actually, what is it that is so, the hidden thing inside that book? Just in one line, if you could give us the hints. We'll keep it a secret. Let our audience, lay their hands on the book and buy it and then read it. But just if you can just give us a hint as to actually what it is in Blood and Brown Sugar. It has received many awards too. Yes.
Sure. I'll define the title for you. It's not what people assume. Blood refers not to violence, but to the bonds that are felt between motorcycle club members. They are family, they are brothers, they're blood. So that's the blood. And brown sugar is a street name for heroin.
No. Yes. So among all the books that you've written different genres as well. Crime it could be, and you focusing as a writer. I just want to ask you, like, when is the best time that you feel that I'm going to put down my thoughts, creative thoughts on paper? Which part of the day you feel very comfortable to jot down all your thoughts into a book?
Oh goodness. Well, the ideas come constantly. It doesn't matter, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, it doesn't matter. But I'm as far as actually writing, I'm a morning writer. So I'm up very early. Well, the dog's up early, which consequently means I'm up early. So after his walk, I'm generally behind my laptop by 7 o'clock, and I'll write from 7 until noon or 1 till I get hungry, basically. And then I've found that I'm not overly productive in the afternoon. I tend to get a bit, that lazy we were talking about. I tend to get a bit lazy in the afternoon. So a majority of my writing is done in the morning.
Yeah, just the opposite. I'm not productive in the morning. I tend to be very active in the afternoon time, afternoon, evening, and night. In the morning, I am just unproductive. So that's, you see how we differ, but you are like an early bird, putting all your thoughts into, the book, creating lovely books for all of us to read. That's really nice. So I just ask you a question. As an actor, as an author, as a person who loves bikes too, where do you get that extreme pleasure? What gives you the extreme pleasure? Like, yes, I've done this as an actor, as an author, as a biker.
I think they sort of feed into each other. The acting and writing is just the basic need to entertain. My acting career was short-lived. There was a handful of small roles, and the entire time I looked at it through a writer's eye. I just stored it away for use in my writing later. But the writing and the acting is definitely just comes from my desire to entertain. And the biking is just, it's been ingrained in me for so long. Where it actually came from or how it actually started, I don't know. I mean, I had my first motorcycle at the age of 7 or 8. I had a little mini bike, and I've been riding a bike ever since. I guess if I examine it closely, it's my wanderlust. That's what's so appealing. That's what makes motorcycle riding so appealing to me is just it feeds that wanderlust. And I suppose the fact that I was the only Canadian-born member of, like, my entire family was in England. And I always felt as a child, a little bit displaced, that I was never truly home, and I actually went, in my teens, I went to live in England for a while, searching for that sort of sense of home. And it wasn't there either. So I guess, what that led to my, my extensive travel. But that all feeds very well into motorcycling. And it's the sense of freedom and the wonderment of what's around the next corner, what's around the next bend. That's the mass appeal of motorcycling for me. And I use motorcycling as a reward. I'll trick, or not trick myself, but I'll promise myself, if you finish this first draft, then you can take a week and go for a ride, or take 2 weeks and go for a trip on the bike. So I'll use it to goad myself into finishing projects. So they sort of go hand in hand, I suppose.
That's really nice. That's really nice. So when you travel on your bike, do you go alone or somebody accompanies you, your friends, maybe family? Or it's solo
It
bike?
varies. Yeah, no, it varies. I've done quite a bit of solo trip. I'm in a motorcycle club in India, one of the largest, not one of the largest in India. And so there's a lot of club rides that I attend. Within that club, I have some very, very close brothers that we ride together. And of course, my wife, she's also, she rides pillion. She doesn't ride her own bike, but she's a very avid motorcyclist. She loves it as well. So she needs her bike time as well. So it's a variety, throughout the year. I ride quite a bit, and sometimes it's with friends, sometimes it's with my club, my wife, or on my own. So.
Yes, sir. That's really nice. Thank you for sharing your experiences. Thank you so much. So, how does it feel when you receive an award, when you're being awarded for your good work? When you've received so many awards, commendable awards, how does it feel? Like it makes you like, yeah, I would like to do more, because once you get an award, that really excites us to do more, give our very best.
Yes, absolutely. It
When
never
you
gets
received,
old.
let me put it in this way. Sorry for interrupting. When you received your first award, how did it feel?
It was the first one was man, it was kind of like a kick in the gut from a mule, to be honest. I guess it was relief, more than joy, more than it was relief, because I mean, every writer suffers from imposter syndrome when they're starting their career. All of us. I haven't met a writer yet who doesn't feel at some point, am I worthy to entertain? Is what I'm doing good enough? And it's not, will people like this? That's a whole different nightmare that we struggle with. But it's, am I good enough to entertain people? Am I going to fulfill that unspoken writer-reader contract? You're giving me your hard-earned money. Am I giving you something of value? And so we all suffer from this imposter syndrome, and when I got that first award, it was just, okay, I guess I'm doing all right. It's a little bit of validation. It's a little bit of relief, and it's a whole lot of whew.
That's really nice. Thank you for sharing your experiences. You're so genuine and so honest when you're sharing all of that. That's really very nice. And yes, sir, when you read the title itself of the book, like, there's something special inside. I really like that. And even this also is very inspiring, this book. A crate of rags and bones. When you just think of that, the title, or just, for a moment, all types of things start coming in your mind. Would you like to give us a hint as to what is in that beautiful book which you've written?
Sure. That's again, it's not as sinister as it sounds. It's A Crate of Rags and Bones is a collection of short stories, and while I've sort of been labeled as a crime thriller writer, I'm actually not. I'm not. Well, we can maybe talk about that in a bit, but it's a collection of short stories that range from horror, mystery, murder mystery, suspense, thriller. It's a mixed bag. There's 20 different stories, and they're all different genre, and so some of them had been around for quite a few years. They'd been sitting on my laptop. Writers tend to write short stories just to stay sharp, or to try out a different style or a new voice. So you end up with a bit of a collection of them. You're not always submitting to anthologies. You're not always submitting to, contests or whatever. So you end up with a little bit of a backlog of these stories. And once I got about 10 or 15 of them, I thought, if I write another 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, turned out to be another 10, but it would make a nice collection. By the time it was finished, edited, polished, and ready to go, and I was looking for a title, some of them were 2 years old or 3 years old. And so it brought to mind, sort of how these skeletons in your closet, I've got these old stories that have been kicking around, and now I'm going to shop them out as, in this new book. So it's just sort of my play on skeletons in the closet. And the guilty secret is that the actual term Crate of Rags and Bones, I'm a bit of a gamer geek in my off time. I play video games, and it's a term from one of the video games that I play. It's a pirate adventure where you have to sail around and find these crates of rags and bones. So while I was putting it all together, and sort of theorizing about the skeletons in my closet, this event came up, Rags and Bones, and I went, that's it. That's the perfect fit. So that's where the title came from for that.
Yes, dear. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for being very kind enough to share all of that. So, you're not like, should I share it or not? You're just very open, you're very warm and approachable. The best part is you're very approachable. That's really nice. So, I'd like to ask you something about Blood and Bombay Black.
Yes.
What's this all about?
It's the sequel to Blood and Brown Sugar. It picks up about a year after the completion of Blood and Brown Sugar, and it could be read as a standalone book, but it would be best if you'd read Blood and Brown Sugar just to have the background. That's but it's just a continuation of that story, and again, it's about a motorcycle club, and their struggles in India, and in particular a young Canadian who has come to India to do some. I don't want to give too much away, but to do some dastardly things for the motorcycle club. And so Blood and Bombay Black is just a continuation of that story. At the end of Blood and Brown Sugar, there were a few of the secondary characters that really emerged throughout the novel. I'm not much of a plotter, but I do write very in-depth character profiles before I start writing a novel. And a few of the secondary characters, they just refused to stay silent, and they wanted more of the spotlight. And so the ones that made it out of the end of Blood and Brown Sugar, the ones that didn't get killed off, I really wanted to explore where their story was going. They were so demanding in the first book. I thought, they deserve their own. So I kind of turned them loose on the page just to see what would happen, and yeah, away they went. So it was more of a passion project, but I'm happy to say it's turned into a very worthwhile endeavor. I'm very, very happy with it.
Yes, sir. We are happy for you too, and we are looking forward to the release of that beautiful book as well. Yes, sir. Dear sir, would like to know some of your traveling experiences with your bike. Was it always easy, or did you face any ups and downs when you were traveling on your bike? Because it's not easy traveling on a bike, and you said crisscross the country. So did you face any situation which was not good, an awkward situation, or a situation where you felt uneasy?
Lots of times. Yeah, plenty of times. There was, I guess the first one that jumps to mind is I had a fall in the Himalayas in Nepal, and broke 4 ribs. And we were on our way up to Maktina, and so there was no way out. There was no ambulance. There was no medevac. There was no support vehicle. I didn't have any choice but to ride back to Pokhara with 4 broken ribs, and it was very painful. And I guess through hubris or bravery or stupidity, depending on who you talk to, I rode back to Delhi from Pokhara with the broken ribs as well. So that was most likely the most the most difficult ride I'd had. We were harassed quite badly by the police in Rajasthan, just outside of Tanat. They didn't much like my white skin or long hair, and we were getting a little close to the border. But we defied them as bikers do, and we continued on anyway, and managed to sweet talk the border security force, and the commanding officer there took a liking to me, I guess, and he took us right up to the border, the Pakistan border, which was very exciting. And there's been typical things that most bikers would face, breakdowns and monsoon rains and and that sort of thing. But I guess they would have been the 2 most harrowing sort of experience, the broken ribs and then being detained by the police in Rajasthan.
Yes, sir. Thank you for sharing your experience, and the ones which are not so good to remember, but you've shared all of that. Much appreciated. Which was the most welcoming state? As you said, you crisscrossed across India. Which was the most welcoming state, and you felt really comfortable and at home?
Oh my goodness. I have to say that the people of India once you get outside of the cities, cities are a little cold, and that's not just India, that's worldwide. People tend to be a little frosty in the cities. But once you're out into the urban, the rural areas, the people are just wonderful. And I've found Indians to be um, some of the most genuine and heartful people I've ever met. I mean, they're always ready with a smile, always ready to help. Um, and to say which state has more of that than the other, I really don't, I really couldn't say. I've had wonderful experiences in almost every state. um, I can tell you where I feel most comfortable. I have a few. I love Rishikesh, so Uttarakhand. And that's just an internal. I feel at peace there. Um, I love Goa, of course, because it's Goa. Everyone loves it. Uh, I'm a big fan of Rajasthan as well. I think it's beautiful, but I wouldn't want to leave out the southern states either, because the rainforests and the tea estates and even the Northeast. My wife's from the Northeast, and it's so beautiful up there. I couldn't possibly pick one. I love the country, top to bottom, west to east.
Yes, that's really nice. You're giving credit to all the states in India that people are welcoming, loving, and warm. That's really nice. Actually, that comes within. You're a person who's like that, warm, approachable, and kind. And so that reflects, and people automatically have to start behaving well with us. Yes, sir. So now you also were into the rock and roll band at New Delhi.
Yes.
Yes. Would you like to share something about it as well, your experiences? You were the
Sure.
lead.
Yeah, well, rhythm guitarist, and I was a frontman, so I sang the vocals and played rhythm guitar. We did okay. We did pretty good. 4 or 5 years, I guess, we were together, and it was surround myself with some very talented musicians from Delhi, young boys, most of them, college boys. But we had just a blast, and we started out as your typical sort of little rock and roll band, trying to make our way. And and the more popular we got, the more club dates we started getting. We started playing the circuit regularly, and we played a few half decent gigs. We played hard rock, and we played the pop-up festival, and we did actually get a recording contract at one point, but unfortunately, like most bands, eventually we broke up. We had some artistic differences and went our own ways. So, but it was an awful lot of fun. We did release a single that got a little bit of airtime on Radio 1 Delhi for a while. So it was just more about having fun, really. I was past. I'd only just moved. I'd only just emigrated to India, so I didn't have a lot to do, and these boys were just looking to have a good time. And what happens when you get a bunch of musicians together? They form a band, and that's pretty much what we did.
Yes. If we may ask you your favorite musical instrument.
My favorite. Well, see, I should say guitar, because I'm a guitarist. That's what I play. But I do love the piano. Yeah. I almost said violin there, because I'm a huge fan of classical and Baroque music as well. But yeah, piano, I would think.
Yes, that's really nice. So we'll now come back now to your childhood. We're going to take you down memory lane. Where did you spend your early childhood? Is it in India, in Canada, or in England?
I was born in Toronto, born and raised. I didn't leave. So all my early childhood, all of my schooling was done in either Toronto itself or in suburbs of.
Yes. Would you like to share with us any incident that you remember from your childhood? Maybe it could be where you got, I don't know, here in India, we get beaten by our parents. Like, I got a lot of beating from my mom and dad and my aunts. How was
My,
your childhood? What type of a child were you? The naughty one or the quiet one?
I was a little beast. um, it's funny. I honestly didn't expect this question. I've done interviews, not a lot, but I've done my fair share, and nobody's ever asked that, so I'm caught a little off guard. I will share a story with you. Um, my dad was a very quiet, thoughtful man, and my mother was a little bit more. I take more after my mother, I think, than my father. My mom was a little bit more robust, shall we say, and she was the disciplinarian in the house. And there was one summer where they had some friends over, and we had a nice home, a backyard, and a pool, and a back deck with a barbecue, that sort of thing. So they had some friends over, and they were having a barbecue. So they're all sitting on the patio at the back of the house, and one of their children had come with them, and he was a friend of mine. I trying to put an age on it. I must have been around six or seven. So it's back in the olden days, right? And my dad, back in those days in Canada, you didn't lock your car. You left the windows down. We rarely locked the house. I think, back in this, we're going back into the 70s now, and my dad had this great big Ford LTD Brown. It was called, massive car, one of the big old American cars. And inside he had a trunk release. So my friend and I were playing in the car, pretending we were driving, and I pulled the trunk release. It popped the trunk open. So we got out to close it. And he says to me, "Hey, why don't you get in? I'll lock you in." And I said, "Okay." Yeah, I said, "You know how to open it again, right?" He said, "Yeah, I saw you just pull the thing." So he locks me in. Couldn't figure out how to open it again. And pardon me, I told a mistruth there. He wasn't a friend of one of the people that had come to visit. He was just a friend of mine. And he couldn't figure out how to open the trunk again. So he got scared and he went home. He just left me there. And of course, after a certain amount of time, my parents wondered where I was. They got a little panicky, and then they heard me screaming for help from from the trunk of the car. So my dad let me out, and God, my mom chased me all the way into the bedroom with she had a gift wrapping roll of gift wrap paper, swatting me across the back of the legs with it. I was running up the stairs into my bedroom. I'll never I'm gonna murder you if I get my hands. So yeah, I don't think I've ever told that story out loud before, but there you go. That's from my childhood.
I could imagine you running up the stairs and mom running behind you.
Oh, she was furious.
Yes, that's really nice to go down memory lane to remember those beautiful incidents. They were innocent times, we were unaware as to what is right and wrong. And so we might have done certain things, many of us. I was beaten nicely by my parents and for all the mischief I did. Yeah. So now we'll come to your professional space as an actor, as an author, as a passionate biker, as a member of the rock and roll band. Where do you find challenges thrown at you the most?
It used to be because I was very, very much part of the corporate world before I came to India. And, I had short hair, suit, tie. I was an estimator for a fire protection company, dealing in millions of dollars a year, estimating work. And when I finally left all that behind, and came to India, and I returned to writing, life took on a completely different slant, obviously. So in my past sort of profession, the obstacles were always external, deadlines, a horrible boss, not getting a project and having to explain yourself, all those sort of pressures, mortgage payments and car payments, all those sort of things but they were all external. They all seemed to be coming from the outside. When I switched my lifestyle, and when I came to India, sort of seeking that long sought after inner peace, to quiet that wanderlust. And when I landed in India and started writing again, it's not that the pressures and struggles and obstacles didn't stopped. They didn't. They just started coming from within. So now all the pressures that I face I place on myself. So to answer your question, at this point in my life, it's the obstacles are all internal, and you've heard the expression, you know, that people are their own worst critics, and in my case, that's, and I'm sure as in most writers' case, or any artist, you know, or anyone that endeavors to even someone, you know, that wants to plant a beautiful flower garden, or whatever pursuit it is that they follow, you're always hardest on yourself, and those are sort of the pressures and the obstacles that I face more often than not now. I mean, I get into petty squabbles with my publisher about release dates, and you know, angry at the maintenance shop because my motorcycle isn't ready and I want to go for a ride, things like that. But those are all pretty minor things in the course of life, right? Um, the real sort of daunting pressures, and the real sort of daunting obstacles, self-doubt, things like that, you know, it all comes from inside.
Yes, that's really nice. What are you lovingly called by your family members and friends?
Uh, well, it depends. I have a couple of nicknames. My family just calls me Lee. You know, my first name Lee. Except my brother, he calls me idiot, or what's his face. uh, and but consequently, or funnily, my nieces and nephews, all of them, because it's caught on now. When my first my niece was born, the first one, she was, they were trying to teach her to say Uncle Lee, and it came out ugly. So I've been ugly. Basically, all my nieces and nephews call me Ugly. And that I have a few nicknames that you know, I'm called road names. We call them by the bike club. Most of them aren't nice to say in polite, you know, company, so I'll refrain. Oh, they do call me Gorabai, white brother, sometimes. So, but that's about it.
Nice. Thank you, sir, for sharing. I like this Uncle Lee and Ugly. You
Yeah.
know, that was really funny, and it was like cute at the same time too. Yes. So, how would you want people to remember you? And why should people remember a person called L.A. Nolan?
Oh wow. Well, I think, you know, the public at large. Obviously, I want to be remembered for my writing. I that's the biggest thing for me. I want to know that I've uh, reached an audience. I've touched people. I've affected their lives. I've you know, taken them out of their own life, helped them forget their own miseries, even just for a little while. You know, even though I may cause more with my writing, but you know, a little more turmoil, but just to sort of to affect people, you know, and I'd love, oh goodness, I'd love to be remembered as a great author. I mean, I'll never be a literary author. You know, I'm not a Shakespeare, and I know, and I don't aspire to be. You know, I write pulp fiction, I write fan fiction, and I'm good with that. I'm happy to write within my limitations. But if I could be remembered as a good fiction writer, you know, if I could reach a Ray Bradbury status, oh my goodness, that would be fantastic. Or Stephen King, or you know, if I could be remembered as somebody who entertained, who truly entertained people, that would be fantastic. And as for friends and family, I just I hope I'd be remembered as someone who was genuine, who always did what they said they were going to do, who always meant what they said. You know, I try my utmost not to cheat, not to take the easy way out of anything. You know, not to lie or deceive. I mean, we all do, right? Tell white lies, and sometimes we take shortcuts that we know we shouldn't really. But I try my utmost not to do those sort of things. And most importantly, and I think the biggest thing I'd like to be remembered for is that he was humble. He was a humble man, and that's something that has served me very, very well throughout my life. And it was something that was taught to me by my father. Um, Humility is the way to go. And unfortunately, it took me about 40 years to figure it out on my own. I tried it my own way for many years. But as many young men who are turning into older men figure out, their dad was a pretty smart guy, you know, and all the sort of guidance and things that they passed on to you when you were younger that you thought were pretty stupid and outdated start to make a lot more sense. And, you know, my father always told me, son, that, you know, whatever it is that you do in your life, whatever action you take, it will come back to you, you know, and humility is the way to go. So I guess for friends and family, and I suppose the public at large as well, to be remembered as a humble man would be very meaningful for me.
Yes, you are really a humble person. When I'm connecting with you, and I've been connecting with you for the past few days, you're really very humble, polite, and down to earth. That is the mark of a great human being. To be polite, not to have that ego, not to have that superiority feeling. And you just bond and blend with each one of the people around you. That's really nice. To be very humble and down to earth. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. That was a beautiful answer that you shared with us. We'll come down to movies.
Sure.
Would you like to share your journey on movies and then your favorite film?
Yeah, well, as I said, my acting career was rather short-lived. I think it was more just to get me out of the house. It was my wife that encouraged that, you know, for me to sort of audition for all these acting parts. I enjoyed it. You know, why not? It's fun to go to a movie set and be pampered like you're a big star and sit in the makeup chair and have your lunch served to you. And, you know, it was quite fun. Had a few good times. Like on the movie set Aiyaary, I met Sidharth Malhotra, who I had no idea who the man was at the time. I knew he was a Bollywood star, but I didn't know how big. And you know, when I was talking to some of my female friends later, they were like, oh my God, you met it. Like, what's his number? So we're not best friends, right? I don't have him on WhatsApp, you know, but I didn't realize at the time what a huge star he was. And it's funny because he's a great guy. He's just, and that, I think that just speaks to his humility, because I was just an extra. I didn't even have a speaking line. I did, but it wasn't audible in the movie. It was a very small role, but we just happened to be in frame together. So I had the opportunity to spend some time with him. And just the fact that he dealt with me the way that he did, it speaks volumes to his humility as well, you know. And he's just a wonderful man. We were actually it was during the airport scene where he's in disguise. He's dressed as a woman because he's trying to sneak past security to get out of the country. And the whole scene was very simple. It was we were standing in line to go through security, and he sort of drifts up beside me, and I'm supposed to be telling a joke to a group of people, and we all laugh. And as we laugh, the camera zooms in. Sidharth and I were both in frame for a second, and I sort of look at him like, who's this guy? And then it zooms out, and that was it. So it's a 5 or 6 second shot. But while we were filming it, I kept asking him, like, I noticed he was wearing perfume because he was, I guess, trying to get into the role. So I said to him, you know, you didn't shave your legs, did you? And he started laughing. So we got yelled at by the director for ruining the shot a few times, but I owned it, and he sort of, you know, he protected me a little bit. So it was quite good. And other than that, there was just a few commercials. Bose, Dead or Alive was a fun role to play, but a few commercials, a few rock videos, things of that nature. It wasn't a huge sort of undertaking. But as I said earlier, I viewed the whole thing through a writer's eye, just soak up all the experiences and the sights and the sounds, and just remember it all for later. I'm sure at some point one of my characters in one of my novels will be an actor, you know, just so I can use that information. And as far as my personal favorite film, excuse me, The Italian Job is all for a long time been my favorite film. The original with Noel Coward and not the new one, the original, the 1966, I think. That was and James Bond. I love the James Bond films as well. So.
So thank you, sir, for sharing your journey in the Bollywood sector. That's really nice. There's still more to it, sir. One of your books is being, transformed into a beautiful film. So would you like to share something on it? I just got some information that, yes, there's going to be a re-release in Marathi as well. Which book is that? And Would you like to share something about it, sir?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. That the first in the series, Blood and Brown Sugar, is it was optioned, which means the production house owns the rights to it for the time being. Been waiting for a while now to see if it'll move ahead. I've had some conversations with some directors and some script writers and of course the producers. They're all very keen on the project, but these things take time, and sometimes they die on the vine. You know, you hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So I'm hoping that the sequel might jumpstart the project and get it moving. But these things do take time. And yeah, I was very happy that it's been picked up and translated. It's in the process of being translated into Marathi because that's more audience. You know, it's never been about sales or anything like that. For me, it's about, as I said, entertaining. And the more people I can entertain, I don't care what language it's in, you know. So that would be wonderful. And if it goes well, I guess, you know, the steamy underside of publishing and writing it is a business. Not so much for me, but it definitely is for my publishing house. And so if it sells a lot in Marathi, hopefully they'll look at other dialects and hopefully Hindi and you know, get it out there in that as well.
Yes. Thank you, sir, for sharing. Thank you very much. So as you mentioned languages, I don't mind which language it is. If it's translated, it's really a good thing. Now, I'd like to ask you, how many languages are you conversant in, apart from English?
Not many. I speak like Mera Hindi achana hi hai. You know, I speak survival Hindi enough to get lunch and get to the airport. A little bit of French because I'm Canadian, and you know, we just sort of absorb that naturally, and we learn it in school. And probably enough Spanish to get my face slapped, but that's about it.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I muted myself.
Okay.
Thank you very much for sharing. Thank you so much. If you were to ask you, like, you share one line or one sentence in Hindi, I'd love to hear you speak in Hindi as well. एक अच्छा सा सेंटेंस आप बता दीजिए.
औरत और आदमी सो रही है.
आपका सबसे फेवरेट खाना कौन सा है?
I like Safed Wala Khana.
I would like you to answer in Hindi.
Oh, I'm not that
I
good.
want to hear you in Hindi.
I'm not that good. I like, no. Paratha Aloo Bahut Acha. You know, that's about it.
Yes. Thank you for trying to answer in Hindi. That's really nice. But I guess you understand, but it's a bit difficult to speak, right?
I understand more than I speak, definitely. So long as it's being spoken slowly.
Yes.
You
It
know,
said survival Hindi.
Honestly did try my darndest to pick up Hindi, and the Hindi that I understand is due to those efforts. But man, everybody speaks English. All the road signs are in English. It's very limited opportunity to practice. I'm just not that diligent. I mean, if I don't have to practice it, then I won't. And I you know, there's not that much call for it. And a funny fact is that if I'm in a restaurant or if I'm in a mall or if I order a taxi and I speak Hindi, I get looked at with such shock and surprise that I have to repeat it in English anyway because they don't believe I said. So I don't see the point.
I get that. I understand. That's really nice to share all of that. Thank you very much. So, your favorite holiday destination? Is it in India or across India? I mean, crossing Indian borders.
Well, in India is definitely Goa. But oh man, there's so many cities that I'm in love with. I mean, I have a passionate affair with New Orleans, London, where else? Anywhere in the Caribbean, Jamaica. I love Jamaica. I guess, but if you're talking specifically, I'm a Europe guy. So given I love Berlin, I love Paris. So a specific sort of holiday destination, if I had my choice, it would be Europe, somewhere in Europe.
Yes. What is it that you love about yourself? that this is Nolan and I love myself, I respect myself. This is my inner strength.
I really love, or I believe that I'm a rational man, and I love about myself. I can be quick tempered and reactionary. That's sort of my natural, my hardwiring is to be reactionary and very, very quick tempered. So through the years, I've had to sort of teach myself not to go with my gut instinct, not to trust it, to sort of analyze before I say or speak or react or and I guess in doing that for so many years now, I've become quite adept at seeing both sides of an issue, and I'm very proud of that fact, and I do love that about myself, that I don't misinterpret things near as often as I used to in my 20s. And I love the fact that I'm see, I feel like this really goes against my grain, because I feel like I'm sort of tooting my own horn, and I don't like doing that. But I love animals. You know, I'm very compassionate towards animals, dogs in particular. I'm a huge dog lover. And I love that about myself, that I relate so strongly to animals. I actually sometimes I think I prefer their company to people.
Yes. Thank you, sir, for sharing. Thank you. Dear sir, apart from the A square and the B square, that is an actor, an author, and connected with books and bikes, were you also interested in sports and games? Do you have an interest in any of these sports and games, either indoor games or outdoor games?
Yeah, absolutely. I was, I'm Canadian, so by birth I have to love ice hockey. It's just they take your nationality away if you don't. So I love. I'm a huge ice hockey fan, and football, not European soccer football, Canadian football, American football. I played in high school briefly. I wasn't that good, so I turned to coaching shortly after I got out of college, and I coached little kids right up to semi-pro. I coached for about 25 years football. So yeah, I'm a big sports guy as well. But in all honesty, that's waned a little bit since coming to India. As I'm not, I don't want to get in trouble, but I'm not a big fan of cricket. I guess it's because I don't fully understand it. And I've always sort of gravitated more towards the contact sports. And so soccer I enjoy, I follow it, particularly World Cup and that sort of thing. So.
Yes, sir. So, do you think the world requires a change? And if yes, which is that area that requires a change, where we all should focus our energies to bring a beautiful change and to transform lives?
Whew. I'm not sure if I should, I have thoughts on that. It seems to me that it's a very slippery slope, and you can tread very dangerous ground in this day and age, expressing any thought, any opinion. I will say that I will say this, that the radical left is edging on the radical right to the point where I think it's going to be very detrimental for all of us. And I think some very, very serious changes need to be looked at within the predominantly left viewpoints of the world, without taking sides for either. I think that some of the ideologies and have progressed to the point where they're going to trigger off some serious backlash from the political right or the extreme right. And I think it's going to be very, very dangerous for all of us. I'm not a political guy. I'm not politically motivated. As I said, I have my opinion and I share them quite loudly late at night with my dog and my wife, but that's about it. I don't get active other than that. So I prefer just to leave that there.
Yes. Thank you so much. Appreciated. Thank you so much. So, from all the experiences that you had in various fields till date, how would you try to differentiate between smart work and hard work? When should a person be able to do smart work and when should he put in hard work? There's a big question mark. Many of them are confused, like they don't even know as to which leg to put first. So if you could share your thoughts and views on smart work and hard work.
Well, I would venture to say that if you work smart, you don't have to work hard. But I've found that any time that I've sort of had to, and this applies equally to either writing a book or, digging up the backyard to, put a patio stone down, or, physical labor or mental work as well. I think the smarter you work, the less harder you have to work. Anytime that I've found myself up against it, either, having to do serious physical labor or under mental duress, is because I, screwed up 4 or 5 steps earlier. I either didn't plan something properly, or I procrastinated about something, or I thought, oh no, I'll make do with this instead of doing that. So, both, as far as physical labor and sort of mental labor are both equally as difficult. The world needs people that are physically able to dig ditches just as much as they need people that are, mentally strong enough to work out algorithms. It's a balance. But I think as far as, heavy work or strong work and smart work, they both suffer from both those extremes equally. So I would think, always, whatever it is that you're going to do, always, keep your eye open for how can I make this more efficient? How can I make this? And when I say that, I'm not talking about those shortcuts that I was saying that I'm guilty of earlier. I don't mean make it easier for myself, but because that'll come naturally. If you find, some way to refine what you're doing and make it more efficient, more beneficial, then it just gets easier, and then it creates its own shortcut. So that would be my take on it.
Yes. Thank you for that elaborate explanation. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. So now I've been reading up your profile just a few minutes ago. Something connected with the moon. The books, what's going to be left for the future generations and the aliens and all of that. That was a big question mark in my mind. So I would like you to clarify on that, sir.
Sure. I was very lucky. I stumbled into that. I was part of the NaNoWriMo writing group in India, which is, for those that are unaware, NaNoWriMo is in the month of November. It's a global community of writers, first-time authors, established authors, anyone can join. And the goal is to write a 50,000 word or more first draft in the month of November. And it's a huge event. There's websites you can join. There's all sorts of groups. I mean, once you join NaNoWriMo, you sort of, I live in India, in Bombay. So you join the sort of the Asian group, and then the Indian subgroup, and then there's the Maharashtra subgroup, and then, oh look, Bombay. I mean, you can pretty much land right at your front door, and it's this global community, and it's wonderful. So that the woman that was sort of the team leader of our India group, NaNoWriMo India, a wonderful woman, and she approached me and asked me if I'd like to contribute a short story to an anthology that NaNoWriMo was putting out, Spin to the Moon, Chandrayaan Spin to the Moon. And I said, yeah, I'd love to. Excuse me. Said the trick is, but I need it in a couple of days. So as I mentioned earlier, any good writer, any writer worth his salt always has a couple of short stories tucked away. So I did have one that I was working on, and pulled it out, and I said, you know, would this do? And she said, oh, that's great. So polished it up, got it all ready, submitted it to her. She said, fantastic, thank you very much. It got included in the anthology, and it wasn't until after the fact I found out that the rush was because she got an opportunity to put an electronic copy of this aboard the US moon lander that's going to be launched sometime this year, and left on the moon, along with some art and some music and you know, a host of other books. So and so she had to gather this sort of anthology together very quickly, and so she just reached out to people that she knew, and yeah, one of my stories got selected. I was very lucky. So at some point this year, it'll be loaded onto the lander into, I guess, an iPad, and taken up and left on the moon. So that's really you know, it's a frightful thought, you know, to think saying earlier, but you know, imposter syndrome. It's hard enough keeping up with the human race. I mean, I don't want to offend any aliens. I hope my piece is worthy of being read by another race.
Yes, yes. That's really nice to be. And like when you speak of aliens and when you speak of, you know, things. So do you believe in aliens?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of have to for my work. I'm a very spiritual man. So my immediate inclination would be that, yeah, I mean, there has to be. I can't picture something as vast as space or the universe or even the concept of time and space, and without. Could we be that lucky? Could it just be us? I don't think so. There must be something.
Yes. Yes. My dear friends, do you believe in aliens? If yes, let us know in the comments. Yes. So among all of your colleagues, your family members, and the people from different countries, will come down to your best friends. We leave all of them and only come down to your best friends. How many best friends have stood with you through thick and thin?
Oh man, that's a small number. I firmly believe that you know, if you find one your entire life, you're lucky. You're a lucky person. Now I've been lucky enough to find that person, and I've had, through no fault of the people, but you know, more of my own. I've had several people that I were very close to and stood by me through thick and thin. But whenever I sort of change countries or you know, different locations, and then you lose touch with those people. It doesn't really break the bond, but I've filled, you know, I've filled that need of having a very close buddy, you know, pretty much everywhere I've landed. So I've got 3 or 4 friends throughout, you know, throughout the world that well, 2 in Canada and 2 or 3 here in India that I consider my closest friends.
So what do you look for in a friend? What should a friend be filled with? Is it honesty or is it just fun and entertainment? Because there are friends, when our pockets are full, friends are with us like bees around. And what do you look in for friendship? Or how would you define the term friendship, if I could put that right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it would be different for everyone, like you said, but for me, it's definitely honesty. Um, you know, you can have plenty of acquaintances or good friends if to fill that fun and entertainment bubble. You know, I can make a phone call and in 15 minutes have 15 guys who are ready to party and have fun, and you know, um, no, for that close friend, that person that you trust, um, that's almost brother like. It's honesty. I Because whatever comes out of that person's mouth, particularly in regard to something that I'm doing or maybe not doing, you need to trust it completely without question. And so that only comes if it's given to you. I mean, you only earn that trust through honesty, right? So for me, that's probably the most important ingredient. And I know a lot of people may disagree and say, you know, sometimes it's best you know, if you really care about somebody, you keep your mouth shut and you let them, you know, continue to believe that whatever the situation is. Now, I kind of prefer the slap on the cheek, you know, and even if, and then it's completely up to me, you know, and certainly these situations have arisen in my life where the person I felt closest to or my closest friend has said, you know, I don't think the path you're headed on here is right. And I've pushed back and I've said, no, you know, I love you, man, but I don't agree. And you know, and everything, we just went along fine, you know. So for me, it's definitely the honesty.
Yes, definitely it has to be honesty. That's very nice. Would you like to mention a few of your friends today?
They know who they are.
They know who they are. That's really nice. So lots of love and respects to all of you out there who belong to the circle of our special celebrity and guest, that is Mr. L.A. Nolan, sir. Dear sir, what brings a beautiful smile on your face?
Oh, this is going to sound horrible, but honestly, my wife. I'm so ridiculously and passionately in love that every time I see her, I smile. Yeah, the, my dog, my wife, my motorcycles, finishing a book, reading and writing. You know, I'm an avid reader, as I mentioned. Yeah, what else? Banoffee pie.
Yes, that's really nice. Any weakness, sir?
Weaknesses? Yeah, lots. Yeah. Um, yeah. I guess I guess I can share. I'm an alcoholic. I can't drink. So I'm a recovering alcoholic. I haven't had a drink since 2012. Um, so I gotta steer away from alcohol. That's a definite weakness. Um, and I can be a bit judgy. Um, you know, again, sort of feeds back into that not to trust my gut instincts. I process before I come out right and make a decision on anything, because I've found that through the years, you know, and I think that's, I hate to say it because I'm very, very proud of my English heritage, but I think that's just got a little bit to do with being a Brit. You know, they're a little bit toffee nosed, and I think it's just inherent in most of us. We feel like we're better than everybody else, you know, which we're not, obviously, you know. So I find myself, I can be a little bit judgy, and I really don't like that about myself. So um, yeah, there's probably a few more, but I will leave those under the rock for now.
Yes. So, is there anything that scares you? Like you've been on bike rides, you've been across different countries, you've been traveling across India as well. Is there anything that scares you?
Yeah, yeah. My biggest, most irrational fear. Don't laugh at me. Witches. I am terrified of witches because they exist. They're real. Eh? I mean, there's Wiccans out there, and I guess I was traumatized by the witch in the Wizard of Oz when I was a kid. When I saw that movie, I guess I saw it a little bit too young, and yeah, the Wicked Witch of the West really traumatized me, and it stuck with me. I'm terrified of witches. I really truly am. I know that they use the fat of babies to make flying potion, right? You know, I'm sure they do. um, other than that, I guess I'm claustrophobic, so there's always a fear of sort of being trapped in a tunnel or something like that. That's about it, really. I mean, I'd like to think that you know, I know a lot of people would say death, and you know, I'd like to think that I'm not scared of dying. I'm sure I'll be vastly disappointed when it happens, but I wouldn't say that I fear it. I certainly don't live in fear of it. Let's put it that way. Um, Not much else, I would think.
Yes. So, what is it that angers you the most?
Oh, stupidity. I just, yeah, you know. Um, and again, that might be the judgy, but just people, just acts of absolute. And I don't mean I don't mean people that truly don't understand something and they make a mistake. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. I make 10 mistakes before breakfast. I mean, just stupid, avoidable, you know, take a second, breathe, and think before you speak. Those kind of things, you know, that's my pet peeve more than anything. That's just gets me furious. That and in proper use of English.
Yes, sir. So, when you feel low, because we all do feel low on certain days, when you feel low, from where do you derive the strength and energy to, rise back like a phoenix and face life, not give up on your dreams?
Well, I've got two answers to that, because when I was battling, you know, alcohol addiction, I went through a lot of that. There was a lot of low mornings, and there was a lot of having to battle back. And then it was primarily my my what we call the higher power. Excuse me. And it's this blind faith that whatever I put out in the universe, as far as karma, would come back to me. And so I believe very strongly in a higher power, and I knew that if I just stayed humble, stayed positive, that it would come back to me, and it would, I just have to wait it out. Now when I get the blues, or if I'm really down or overwhelmed, I write my way out of it, and it's cathartic for me, because whenever I'm faced with a tragedy, a death, or anything that most people find hideous and that we all sort of don't like to deal with, I write my way out of it. I say, I got to use this feeling. I got to write it down. I've got to preserve it so that I can use it later on. And I think that's at least what I tell myself. And I think by writing my way through feelings, or depression, or whatever it is that I'm feeling that I don't want to face, despair, by writing through it, I fix it. You find your way back to the light by doing that. So I do it under the guise of being a writer, and using it as professional cannon fodder for later. But I think it's just my way of, it's my own personal therapy. A lot of people do journaling and similar things, to sort of help them through the rough spots. So that's what I do now. But mind you, I do still pray to my higher power every once in a while. Not every once in a while, actually, quite often. So I guess it's a combination of those two things.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, sir, for sharing. Now, I have a question. If there are the youngsters out there who would like to be in your shoes, who would like to be the next Nolan, sir, what one has to do to be in your place? As an accomplished writer, as an actor, as a biker, and of course, a member of the rock and roll band, because people like to multitask. And if people are inspired by you, and what is the suggestion you'd like to give out to all the youngsters?
Stay in school, don't do drugs. Honestly, whatever your passion is, believe in it and believe in yourself. And I know that's a very tired axiom, and people say it all the time, but it's so very true. Don't give up on your dreams. And especially because life will get in the way, and life will force you to put your dreams on the back burner for some time. And don't be scared to do that, but don't lose sight either. I mean, I walked away from writing. I turned my back on writing for almost 25 years, until I came back to it. Life got in the way, a mortgage, and a job, and a baby, and a wife, and these things happen. But most definitely, always believe in yourself, fuel your passion, whatever it is your passion is, and whatever fuels that passion, stick with it. And it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what anybody else says about it. And academically, I can only speak to music or writing, particularly writing, because I mean, that's by far where my strengths lay. If you want to be a writer, in particular a fiction writer, then stay in school, read like a madman. Don't ever be without a book in your hand, and take the courses, put in your time, go to university, get your English lit done. It's a long, hard road, but so is being a doctor, so is being a lawyer, so is being an engineer. And people tend to look at the arts as something that, oh, you're naturally gifted and you're naturally talented, so you just go do that. And while that's true to a certain extent, it's also true for every other profession. I mean, I could never be an engineer, no matter how much I went to school. I just haven't got the mindset for it. And so you need your schooling. Is it true that there are good writers out there that don't have a BA in English Lit? Yeah, sure there is. I don't have a BA in English Lit, but I've taken plenty of night school courses. I've taken lots of sort of after market university courses. I've taken I've got a degree in short story writing, and these things I had to work for after the fact, and it's a lot harder when you get older to sort of refocus and get yourself back into the mindset. I mean, if your passion or calling was to help the sick, and you wanted to be a doctor, you wouldn't just go throw a tablecloth over the dining room table and start operating on people, right? I mean, you've got to go to school for it. And it's the same with writing. If you're passionate about writing, you want to be a fiction writer, you want to be a journalist, you want to be a script writer, screenwriter for Bollywood or Hollywood, then learn your craft. You can do it the hard way, but why? When there's avenues available for you to learn it, wouldn't you rather go down that path so you don't get thousands of rejections and learn, oh, well, that didn't work and have to try again? Learn the basics, hone your craft, give yourself a good fighting chance to win, and don't ever think that you're not good enough, because if you stick with it that long, you'll get good enough. Simple as that.
Thank you so much for the lovely suggestion. Thank you very much. It will definitely inspire many youngsters out there. I mean, you read like a madman. I really like that. Keep reading. If you want to become a writer, read a lot, complete your entire education, take up courses, and upgrade your skills. You've given a lot of information out as to how you could be a great writer and a great human being. That's nice, sir. So, your favorite color, which color appeals to your eyes?
It used to be red when I was a kid, but it's orange now. I don't know if that's because my eyesight's failing. It used to be red, but now it's orange. I'm a big fan.
So, when you were in school, which subject attracted your attention?
English and law.
Is there any favorite quote that you'd love to share with us? A favorite quotation or a proverb?
Oh, I have so many. I'll give you two, okay? Nietzsche. And those that were seen dancing were thought insane by those who could not hear the music. I love that quote. And Shakespeare. Some men are born great, some men achieve greatness, and some men have greatness thrust upon them. Macbeth. I love that.
Thank you, sir, so much for sharing that. Thank you very much. You've shared two. Thank you very much. We'd love to hear you sing now. Would you oblige?
I'd have to get my guitar and stuff.
Good.
But
we'll wait for you.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, please. Yes, sir. Over to you, sir.
Give me one reason to stay here, and I'll turn right back around. Can we start over, please? Let me find the key. Give me one reason to stay here. Give me one reason to stay here. Give me one reason to stay here, and I'll turn right back around. Give me one reason to stay here, and I'll turn right back around. Yeah, okay. Give me one reason to stay here, and I'll turn right back around. Give me one reason to stay here, and I'll turn right back around. Girl, just give me one reason, and I'll turn myself around. Girl, you got my number, and I know that I got yours. Girl, I got your number, and I know that you got mine. Girl, you got to call me out anytime. Give me one reason to stay here, and I'll turn right back around. Give me one reason to stay here, and I'll turn right back around. Girl, just give me one reason, and I'll turn myself around. Ooh, man, I'm out of practice.
Thank you so much. Thanks for obliging. We'd love to see your guitar once, please. So, would you show us your guitar? That's really nice. Thank you.
One of many.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. It was a lovely song. Thank you so much for obliging. That's really very nice of you. Very humble, sir. Thank you so much. So, amongst all of your achievements till date, which achievement made you feel proud of yourself and say, wow, this achievement was really a great feeling?
There's, I guess, personally, the birth of my son was a huge moment. I was quite proud that I managed to to be a father. There was a time in my life when I didn't think I'd ever be responsible enough or find a woman that would stay with me long enough, frankly, to produce a child. So I was very proud of that. I guess on a more selfish level, winning a provincial football championship was a huge accomplishment. Very, very proud of that. And of course, my first novel getting picked up and traditionally published was a huge coup for me. So.
Yes. So if the Almighty or the universe was to gift you a superpower and you were given the choice to select the superpower which you want, what would you select?
Oh, you see, this question, I've seen this in print and I've heard it asked, and people always say really wonderful things like, you know, the ability to heal the sick or to solve, you know, world problems. And oh man, I'm just not like that. I'd really like to I'd really like to be able to hear what people are thinking. I mean, I know that's horrible, isn't it? But I think that and I guess I could flower that up and I could make that sound a little better by saying, you know, so I know better how to, you know, entertain people, but I think I'm just nosy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing. So there's a very important question coming up. Many of us, the youngsters, even it could be just anybody apart from the youngsters too, we are unaware that we are in toxic situations, meeting toxic people, staying with toxic people. Would you like to mention any hint, or maybe you could call it a red flag, that this is not okay in your life? It's time to move away, come back, step back, save yourself. This is a dangerous situation in your life, or these people are not good for you. Because when people identify that, yes, I'm in a toxic situation with a toxic person, it is too late when they want to come back out. So the earlier they identify, all the better. So would you like to share your thoughts on that?
You know, I think that people tend to ignore the early red flags, you know, particularly in relationships, because you're so enamored with the person or what you hope the person could be or would be, or you're blinded as to what the person really is. And so we tend to overlook those early warnings. But I think if people are honest with themselves, and again, we're back to honesty, funnily enough, but I think if you're honest with yourself, you know, from a very early stage that, and it not just necessarily a relationship, but it could be your employment. It could be the job that you're in is making you miserable. I mean, so many times I've seen people walking through life sort of feigning happiness while bombs are going off all around them, and I mean, they're miserable. They're miserable. And if you just be truly honest with yourself, take a long, hard look in the mirror, and, it's just me and you here, nobody else. Do you really, really want to do this for a living? Are you really in love with this person? I mean, you instinctually know what's right for you. And by extension, what's right for you is what's right. Yeah. And without sort of complicating your life into, global phenomenons or outside pressures or whatever it is, to get away from a toxic relationship or a toxic situation or whatever it is that you've got yourself into, I think so long as you're honest with yourself all the time and brutally honest, because people don't like to be brutally honest. People prefer to skim the surface. Nobody wants to dig beneath the surface and be very truthful with themselves and say, you know what, I can be a little bit of this or I can be a little bit of that. Everybody likes to justify, oh yeah, sure, I was mean, but well, yeah, but you were mean, you didn't have to lie, you didn't have to, whatever it was, so don't be surface, dig down, be very honest about yourself. And the more honest you are about yourself and the more self-reflection you have, the much easier it is to shine a light on other people. Once you've done that, I've found that other people's agendas become very transparent. If you're truly honest with yourself and you don't live on a surface level, if you admit to yourself, yeah, you know what, I did that or I said that simply because I'm being vindictive and I know it was wrong and I really got to work on that about myself because it's not a nice way to be, but that's why I did that. And you don't have to broadcast it to the world, but if you're truthful to yourself about it, then when somebody else is being vindictive, it's very clear. But if you lie to yourself and you pretend that you don't see those things in yourself, then you'll never see them in other people. So you want to avoid toxic relationships. You want to avoid toxic situations. You want to be happy. This is just my take on it. I'm by no means any mystic or a guru, but in my opinion, the more honest and truthful you are with yourself and the more openly that you live your life, the easier it's going to be for you to see and acknowledge and accept the fact that other people or other situations just aren't for you. And it'll give you the courage to get out of them.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. You should have the courage to walk out of any toxic situation. Either it could be your work environment, your personal life, or it could be just any situation. If you're in a public space, if you find people toxic around you or a toxic situation, save yourself from agony. So, acknowledging emotions, mental health, with all the experiences that you've had till date, would you like to share your thoughts and views with regard to emotions and mental health?
Man, I don't. Yeah, well, my views are not. Like I said, I've always been very. I've got to be very cautious. My hard wiring, especially my struggles with alcohol. I could never trust my gut reactions. I could never trust my immediate sort of take on things. And even to this date, and I've worked very, very hard at sort of learning my weaknesses and learning my pitfalls. And I've worked very, very hard at trying to overcome them so I can be a better person. But even now, there are plenty of times where I'll ask my wife, she's sort of my first line of defense. And I'll say, should I be upset with that? Or, should I be reacting to that? And she'll either say, let it go. Don't worry about it. It's not that big a deal. Okay. And I'll let it go. I might be fuming inside, but if she tells me, it's not a big deal, then I'll let it go. And conversely, just the other day, she said, why are you jumping up and down and screaming about this? There was a situation going on. I said, oh, why? Should I be? She said, well, yeah, So I still miss out on the nuances sometimes. Now, and I found that for me, at least, and I can only speak for myself, that emotions just complicate everything. They just make everything messy and much harder to sort of, it's difficult to see the truth through a haze of either anger or lust or whatever it is, covet, greed, all these emotions, all these perfectly natural things that happen in our mind. You have no way of controlling them. The only thing that you can do is to recognize them. And so for me, emotions make a mess of everything. So the more logically you can think about something is probably the best way to handle every situation. And if it takes you 24 hours before you make a decision, then, or sort of come down on one side of the fence or the other, then do that. Because being impulsive got me in more trouble than being methodical ever did. That's for sure.
A big message. Don't be impulsive, my dear friends. Be logical, be rational, wait for the right time and take decisions. Do not show the negative part of your emotions, control your emotions. You should have control over your emotions. And once people know you're an emotional person, they may take advantage too of you.
Absolutely, they do. Yes.
Yes. So thank you for being so honest and sharing all of that. Much appreciated, sir. Imagine you have a time machine in your hand, and just at the click of a button, that would take you into the past era where you'd have to go and relive somebody's life and come back. It's just an imaginary question. It's a task. You have to go into the past era, come back after reliving somebody's life. If that was the case, whose life you would love to relive and come back?
John Lennon. Simple. John Lennon. I'd love to be a Beatle. Yeah.
Great. That's really nice. What kind of changes do you visualize in the next 50 years with regard to writing, with regard to bikes, with regard to the rock and roll band, acting, or maybe just technology? What is it that you foresee in the future, in the next 50 years? Maybe it could be the medical stream as well.
Who can say? I mean, it's such an exciting time to be alive as far as technology is concerned. I mean, I'm 57 years old, all right? And when I was a boy, we didn't have microwaves. When I was a boy, we didn't have CDs. God, we didn't even have cassette tapes when I was a kid. It was all 8 tracks. I've seen so many things in my lifetime. When I was 15, I didn't have a computer. We certainly didn't have iPhones. Oh my God. If you had told me when I was 12 years old that I could hold something in my hand and talk to somebody on the other side of the world anytime I felt like it, I would have said, you're insane, man. Keep walking. There's no way I would have believed it. So what's coming in the next 50 years? Who knows? Everything that was promised to me, in science fiction, comic books and stuff when I was a kid has all come true, except the flying car. Where's my flying car? I was everything except the flying cars have come true. So I would guess that anything that young people are thinking about today is absolutely achievable in the next 50 years. Because in my 50 years, our wildest dreams, things that we thought were absolutely impossible, have come true and are like old news. Like my son's 30 years old. He hasn't got a clue what it was like to live without a microwave. It's unfathomable. It's the olden days to him. Like, did you cook over an open fire? Like, no clue. So if we've achieved all these things in my 50 years, impossible things, then the things that young people are thinking about now are certainly attainable. So the sky's the limit. I'd be more worried that we as a race don't screw everything up. I don't think anything's unattainable as far as technology or health. People could be living to 130 years old or 50 years old. Who knows? I think it's all attainable, but as long as we don't mess it up, I think that's the biggest problem.
That was a lovely, lovely answer, sir. I really like the positivity with which you shared with your experience. As you've mentioned, in the last 50 years, you've seen a lot of changes and growth. And you say that whatever people think today, imagine today, will materialize in the next 50 years. And there'll be a lot of positivity around. I really like this answer. Very inspirational. Sir, we'll talk about constructive criticism. Would you like to share something on that?
Okay. Yes, I would. Sure. I'll be very honest. I'm a big baby when it comes to criticism. I hate it. I stamp my feet. I pout. But again, I run it through the mill. I run it through the grist mill, and quite often realize that uh, critique is only meant to help, not to harm. Constructive criticism, and there's a huge difference, and I'm speaking strictly from the writing angle. There's a huge difference between critique and criticism. Criticism is somebody smashing your book or smashing your work for whatever reason and tearing it down. Critique is pointing out weaknesses and how you can improve. So as a writer, we tend not to listen too much to critique or criticism, but more to critique. I think the worst thing you can do as a writer, and I'm guilty of it. I'm not saying I don't do it, because I do, but the worst thing you can do as a writer is to read your own reviews. Oh my goodness, Goodreads, Amazon, reading your own reviews it's just no good can come from it, because reviews are particularly the ones that are not so flattering, because reviews are written by readers for other readers. They're not critiques of your book. They're criticisms of your book. I expected more. Oh, this guy didn't do it. We have no control over it. If somebody picks up Blood and Brown Sugar, they just pick it up and they read it and they can't stand it. That's fine, and I've got no control over why they didn't like it. I've written the book the best of my ability, and there's an audience for it. I don't need to prove that. It's done very well. But there's lots of people out there that don't like it as well. They don't like the genre. They don't like the character arcs. They don't like whatever it is. And I have no control over that. I have no control over whether somebody picks up my book, if they're going to like it or not. So why would I read their review? They're just being honest, and they're giving their point of view and saying, you know what, there was too much drugs, or there was too much motorcycles, and I don't like that. And all they're doing is telling other people that don't like stories that deal with drugs or crime or motorcycles, don't read this book because it's full of it. And that's fine. But as a writer, you take that to heart because it's your baby, and you start to think, oh, should I change that? Was I too heavy-handed? But no, you weren't, because you were writing in your genre. So, the worst thing really that writers can do is to read reviews and to sort of review their own critique or criticisms. Critiques are different. Critiques come from peers. They come from your fellow writers. They come from editors. They come from your publisher. These are, people that are in the genre, and they want your book to be better. They have a vested interest in it being better. So, that's a completely different thing. But sort of criticisms, most of it, I at first I get angry at it, and I'll take the old, well, you didn't get it, you don't understand my, but then after I calm down, I realize, hey, you know what, everybody's got a right not to like my book, and if they don't, and that's fine, and once I get over the initial sort of annoyance with it, I realize that, hey, then to each their own, and I just let it roll off my back.
Yes, thank you, sir, for being so sweet and kind enough to share your thoughts and views on constructive criticism. As we were talking about books on Amazon, where could our viewers find all the books that you've written to buy and read?
Yeah, they're available on Amazon worldwide, and in India, also Flipkart, and in, local bookstores. Most bookstores carry all of my titles. If it's not there, just ask for it and they can order it for you. Internationally, Barnes and Noble carry it, Kobo, Smashwords. If you just Google any of the titles, they're not too hard to track down.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So one major question, forgiveness. Are you a person who forgives others easily? Yes, no?
I kind of have to be, because I trust quickly. And if I not to put too fine a point on it, but if I'm silly enough to be over trusting, then I deserve, times to be injured emotionally by people who, most times probably don't mean it. And so you have to forgive those things quickly. It's deliberate and malicious sort of slights or acts. I don't forgive quickly, no. Arguments and disagreements, not seeing eye to eye, unintentional slights, I let those things go pretty quickly. But the really malicious things I tend to hang on to for a long time. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, sir, for sharing. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much would you rate yourself with regard to forgiving others?
Forgiving? Oh, I think I'd come in at a solid 8.
8 on 10.
7.5.
7.5. How sweet. Thank you, sir. So we've come to an end to the main round of the interview. If I haven't asked you any question and you'd love to answer that, if I've left out any important zone which you'd like to cover up, you're most welcome.
Only just that Blood and Bombay Black will be live and for sale 23rd of January. It'll be live on the 23rd on Amazon. Shortly thereafter, it'll be in bookstores, but on the online platforms, you can certainly pick it up right away. There will be a virtual launch on the 20, I should have this written down, 28th will be the virtual launch party. And you can get more details on any of my social media handles for that. Facebook, Twitter, or X now. Instagram is all the same. It's Sir_Wordsmith. So you can, if you want to attend the virtual launch for it, I'd love to see you there. And the 17th of February, I'll be at the World Book Fair in Delhi at 6 p.m., 5 till 6 p.m. And we'll be doing a launch in Delhi as well.
Yes, sir. And we wish you all the best. That's really very nice that you shared the dates with us. Definitely, we will be there with you, sir. And we'll put up in the description box as well all the details, your Instagram account, your Facebook account, so that people could get access and join you on that beautiful, inauguration of the book and the release of the book.
I love of all the things that sort of writing encompasses. And some of it can be quite grueling. I don't much like the advertising side of the business, and I don't like the marketing. I don't like the business side of the business, typesetting, proofreading, all that sort of thing. But the one shining star in all of that sort of muddy sea is when I get an opportunity to meet readers. I love it. There's nothing more satisfying for me than seeing someone holding my book with a big smile on their face, or doing a signing for them, and someone that's just happy that they're going to read something that hopefully they'll enjoy. That's the highlight for me, on that whole side of things.
Yes, and we wish you all the best in all your endeavors. Definitely, so you'll have a wonderful time. So now we have a session called as the rapid fire round. It's just for 10 minutes. If you could allow me to take another 10 minutes from you, it would be really a blessing.
Sure.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for being so kind. So friends, it's time for the rapid fire round to get to know the likes and dislikes of our special guest, who is an author, an actor, a passionate biker, and a member of the band as well, the rock and roll band. Above all, sir would love to shine as an author. He's been a biker, now he's just really and being a great author. Of course, bikes are still his passion. And, you really look very, very great. When I've seen that picture of yours on the bike, it was like, wow, it really looks great. I really felt it's one great thing. So yes, friends, when you ride a bike, ride it like a king and enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. So we come down to the rapid fire round now. The favorite breakfast, when you get up in the morning, what is it, the first thing that you'd love to eat?
Oh, I love Eggs Benedict. is probably when I'm traveling, it's eggs Benedict. In India, I love dosa and aloo paratha.
Dosa and aloo parota. That's nice. So, the favorite time of the day.
Okay, my personal favorite is in the afternoon, about just about this time. 3 or 4 in the afternoon is my it's not my most productive. This is sort of my downtime and my relaxed, and when the sun's over the yard arm, that's sort of the time of day I like the best.
What song you listen to often, repeatedly, like your favorite song?
Ooh, anything by the Beatles. I'm a huge Beatles fan. Strawberry Fields Forever, Hey Jude.
What is that one thing that people don't know about Nolan?
I think I gave it away earlier. I'm terrified of witches.
Yes. So, is it salty, sweet, spicy, or sour food?
Yes. I love them all. Salty, I guess. If I had to pick one over everything, salty.
Yes. What are the 3 things that you cannot live without?
My motorcycles, my wife, and the ability to write, to create, writing, songwriting.
Yes. What is the most adventurous thing that you've done till date?
Most? I guess in wow, man, how to pick. I guess leaving Canada. I guess leaving my entire life behind and emigrating to India on a whim.
Yes. Among all the 12 months, your favorite one?
October.
Any specific reason?
Lots, yeah. In Canada, that's when the leaves start to change. And I love autumn. I love pumpkin pie. I love Halloween. I love it's American football season. Corn roasts. It's still warm through the day. It's starting to get chilly at night. I just love October.
Yes. Among all the 7 days, your favorite day?
Sunday. Yeah.
Your favorite music?
Classic rock.
Is it comfort or style?
That's an awkward question for me because I like to be comfortable, and I mean I wear Crocs. Not a lot of people admit that. I'm very happy in Crocs, and I wear a lungi most of the time when I'm hanging around the house. But when I go out, I'm very style conscious. I'm very metrosexual. When I'm out in public, my tie pin has to match my belt, sort of thing.
Yes. Do you believe in second chances?
Yes, absolutely.
Your favorite snacks?
Doritos. Doritos and potato chips.
So, life is all about money or happiness?
Happiness.
At any time?
Yeah.
Nolan sir is an introvert, an extrovert, or an ambivert?
Introvert.
When you're all alone, sir, and nobody's with you, no gadgets, no book, not a single pen and paper with you, you're connected to your thoughts. You're in a room alone. Where do your thoughts take you? Into the past, present, or future?
That's a very good question. I've never given that any thought. No phone, no laptop, no pen and paper, nothing to do. Where do my thoughts go? The past, I suppose. Yeah, the past.
Do you love a beach or a forest? Because you love Goa. Now, is it beach?
Yeah, I'm a beach guy. Yeah.
Beach guy. Yes. So, is it song or dance? What would you prioritize?
Oh man, can't you sing while you're dancing? I like them both. I guess song, I guess.
Is it socializing or me time? What
Me
would
time.
you prioritize?
Me time.
Walking Two-wheeler or a four-wheeler? What gives you extreme joy?
Two-wheeler. Yes, I don't like walking and I can't stand cars. They're stupid.
So, as you've been connected with books and music as well, if you were given a chance to select any one, what would you select? Either reading, writing, or books? I mean, reading and writing goes together. And books, which one would you? I'm sorry, music.
At this point in my life, it's definitely writing. Yeah, books.
Yes. Is it cakes, chocolates, or ice creams?
Cakes, chocolates, ice creams. Ice cream. Ice cream. Yeah. But chocolate is a close second.
Yes. Your favorite mode of transport?
Motorcycles. Yeah.
Favorite season?
Autumn.
City, a village, or a town?
Gotta pick, eh? Liverpool. London. London.
When you helped others, you've been doing that on several occasions. When you help others, did you ever expect anything in return? At least a smile on their face, maybe a hug or a shake hand?
Gee, I don't know. I don't know if I expect it. A smile's always nice. I remember a few years back when I was living in Delhi, and a young boy went by. It was just right around Christmas time, and he wasn't wearing any shoes. And my wife called out to him. He said, "Hey, where are your shoes?" And he said, "I don't have any." So there was just on the footpath, there was a guy selling, chapels. Yeah. So she took him over and bought him just a cheap pair and said, "There you go, take those." And he didn't say anything. He just turned around and ran off, And at the time I remember thinking, well, that's a little odd, no thank you, no smile, no nothing. He just ran away. And I remember saying that to my wife, and she said, "Well, I didn't buy them for a thank you. I didn't buy them for a smile. I bought them because he needed them, and made me feel good to give them." So I thought, that makes a lot of sense. So I guess I don't. I'd like to think I don't expect it, but I do notice.
Yes, very true, very true. So, a beautiful day, a perfect day in just one word. How would you sum up an entire day which you thought was beautiful and fruitful in just one word?
Published.
Oh, great, wonderful. I understand that. Yes, that's beautiful. So, a life skill, apart from all the skills you've acquired till date, life skill, cooking. Are you a great cook too?
Depends who you ask. I think I'm a wonderful cook. Some people might disagree. I can hold my own. I'm not too bad in the kitchen. I lived on my own for, the better part of 12 years, and nobody did my cooking for me. So, yeah, I'm not too bad. I can hold my own.
Your favorite cuisine?
Ooh, toss up between Italian and Greek. Probably Italian, I guess, at the end of the day.
The name of your favorite teacher or sir when you were a student?
Wow, I have two, and I definitely can't pick. Mr. Llewellyn and Mrs. Carlson.
Yes, sir. Nolan, sir, you think you are a great thinker or a doer? Where do you find your strength, as a thinker or a doer?
I'm going to say thinker, because just by matter of a joke, so many times in my life I've found myself saying, "Hey, I'm the idea guy. I came up with it. You get it done." So I guess I'm a thinker.
You believe in experiential learning or theoretical learning?
Oh,
You being a man of letters, so I guess this would be a little tough for you to answer.
yeah, because I came up through the trades. When I left high school, before I was writing full time, I was a tradesman. you know, and I learned on the job. I served an apprenticeship. So I think, you know what, I'm going to cheat on this one, and I'm going to say they're both equally valuable. Seriously.
Is it home cooked food or food ordered from out?
I like both. We definitely do our enough damage on Swiggy every month, but I like a home cooked meal.
You believe in camping or staying in a hotel? Because you've
Hotel.
been traveling across different zones and
Hotel. I'm far too old to be sleeping on the ground now. My idea of camping now is standing next to the waterfall in the hotel. That's camping for me.
so any phobia?
Yeah, I'm claustrophobic.
It's the insect that you don't like?
I'm sorry.
The insect that you don't like?
Um, mosquitoes, I guess, but that's nobody likes them, right?
Yes.
I'm not. I don't have any phobia against them. Yeah, just mosquitoes.
Yes. Is it tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Black coffee?
Lots of, yes. Little bit of sugar.
Your favorite number, sir?
13.
Yes. Sir. Do you believe that gifts play an important role in our life?
Gifts?
Gifts play an important role in our life. Do you believe that?
Gifts as in gifting somebody something, or gifts as
Either
in
receiving or gifting somebody. Do you believe in gifts, that it really has an important role to play in our lives?
I don't think so. I mean, I like getting them. I tease my wife at Christmas. I say, don't forget lots of big, expensive gifts. That's what I like. But as far as importance, I don't think they make that much difference in our lives, really.
Yes. Till today, the gifts that you've received, amongst all of them, which one is your favorite one? The most precious gift you've received till date?
Oh, well, I guess the letter of the law was a gift. My mother gave me my father's pinky ring after he passed, and you know, that is it. Yeah.
Yes. Do you get joy in giving gifts or receiving gifts? I guess you've answered that.
Yeah, I do. I like getting them, sure I do, but I enjoy giving them as well. It depends. It really depends. You know, I enjoy giving gifts to like children and watching their face light up, kind of thing. Adults, not so much. I'd rather get one.
Yes, that's really nice. Giving a gift and watching the face of those little children light up brings immense pleasure. So today, our last request from you would be, you have to bring a smile on our face and light up our face as well by giving us 3 gifts. They are the 3 magical words that we ask from every celebrity who's on the International Fab Talks. Apart from please, sorry, and thank you, our last request today would be to share 3 magical words as a gift. 3 gifts.
3 magical words. What did you say? Please.
Apart from please, sorry, and thank you, these are considered as the magical words from time immemorial, and they've been passed on from one generation to another. Apart from these 3 words, we'd love you to share extra 3 magical words that could impact our lives. It could be love, compassion.
I think for me, the biggest one would be yes. Yes, to me, is a magical word. Humility. And reflection. Yes, humility and reflection.
Perfect. That's really nice. Yes, humility and reflection. That's really nice. So you're one personality who we've met who has a lot of humility. You're very humble and down to earth. When we look at you, oh, because you're a Canadian-born person, so we think, oh, people have this xenophobia. Like, can we connect with them? Can we not? but you make the other person feel at ease. You have a lot of humility. Thank you for being you. You're a wonderful person, and wishing you all the best in all your endeavors. And we'd love to have you on many more international Fab Talk sessions as well to share more.
I've had a wonderful time. Thank you very, very much for having me, and I'd certainly be glad to return.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. You've given us lots of time, and you've shared a lot of wisdom on this platform. We wish you and all the books that you've written, that they really make an impact in the lives of people. People are entertained, and they gain a lot of knowledge by reading those books, and it should impact their lives. And we wish you all the best for tomorrow, that is 23rd. If you could repeat that once again for our audience, like, it would be really nice as to the releases tomorrow, right? So one.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
please.
in India, Amazon, Flipkart, all
Would
of the.
Would you mind showing the book as well once again,
Certainly.
like to remind our audience?
Yeah, all of the online platforms and in local or limited bookstores. But if it's not in the bookstore physically, you can certainly ask for it and they will order it for you. And internationally, Barnes and Noble, Kobo, and of course Amazon's worldwide as well. As I said, it's not hard to find. You just Google the name, and you know, the retailer or outlet closest or easiest for you will be there.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir. God bless, and stay safe and stay connected. It was a pleasure having you on the International Fab Talks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. My dear friends, with this we come to an end to the International Fab Talks for now. Stay with us, connect with us, and bond with us. How? By joining us on every session. And if you like what we are doing, like, subscribe, comment, and share as well this video, because let it reach different people. Let it reach the right kind of people. We want it to reach to the right kind of people so that they benefit if they want to become aspiring or writers. And let me put that right. If any of you out there want to be an aspiring writer, or you have that aspiration within you that you want to become an accomplished writer, go ahead and share this with others too, and yourself. Create that space where you could put your thoughts on pen and paper and inspire lives, just like our special celebrity and guest is Mr. L.A. Nolan, sir. We'll be missing you, sir, but I'm sure we'll meet up again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.